This episode of the Citadel Cafe is brought to you by listeners like you. Visit patreon.com/the Citadel Cafe to find out how you can become a patron and help make this show possible. This is the Citadel Cafe, episode number 302 for Wednesday, January 16th, 2019. My name is Joel Duggan, and the Citadel Cafe is where my friends and I hang out to talk about the geeky stuff that we are into. Joining me for the first time in 2019, Mr. Lou Page, Zombies Ate My Podcast, and at Busy Zombie Lord on all the social media that matters. Good year to you, sir.
Good year to you. I feel like I'm a week late.
We are. It is.
I know.
Yeah, time is liquid after the new year, and it's neither here nor there, but it's everywhere. And it's weird when you podcast because I was wishing Happy New Year to Johnny, my co-host on Spawn Chunks, and it was like the 7th or something. But it's the first time we had spoken since the new year.
Yes.
So when you do this kind of stuff on a weekly or monthly basis, and you start to touch base with people after the holidays, you realize, wow, crap, I haven't talked to you for like 6 weeks.
Yep.
But yeah, outside of the Discord, of course, which is always really fun. And it was really active over the holidays, I must say, despite the fact that there was no podcast. It was a lot of fun to have the extra time that I would have put into making the show and hang out in the Discord and chat about Lego and movie trailers and all the kind of cool stuff that's going on.
We certainly got a lot of stuff over this holiday season as well.
Yeah, and I think the last time that we spoke to you, you were on death's door heading into the holidays on episode 300.
Yes. I'm doing better, but I still can't lose my cough.
It's hard, man. Like whatever has been going around, it tends to linger, and it's no fun. I've been dealing with some. I mean, I've not been sick for quite a while. I was sick for about 2 weeks, starting on Boxing Day ish. But it's obviously long since past that now. We're another 2 weeks into January, but I'm still noticing it in my voice. Like I'll get craggy. I won't be able to go for much longer than a half an hour before I start to lose my voice. So it's really stuck with me for a long time. But
I have a coworker that hears me cough every morning when I get to the office, and he goes, "You ain't ever gonna lose that, are you? Because it's getting old." I'm like, "Shut up."
Nice. Thank you, coworker. Jeez. Record yourself on your phone coughing and then just play it once in a while.
Trust me, I've been tempted.
Yeah. I hate those kind of comments. It's just like whatever.
It's okay because him and I tease each other all the time, so it's not a big deal. But
yeah,
every morning when I get to the office, I'm like, son of a bitch, can't I hold my cough for at least a half an hour? Do I have to cough every time I just get to my desk?
Yeah, and it's worse when it's when you're in a public situation and it's not necessarily embarrassing, but like it's interruptive, and you want to try and minimize your effect on your surroundings. And
right.
When I used to work in retail part-time, I mean, of course, you get all kinds of stuff working out in public, and I mean, you're sick half the winter, and unsolicited advice from customers. Just FYI, people, don't do it. If an employee is sick, just say, "Hope you're feeling better soon," and walk away. Don't start to retail MD me on the floor, because it's the last thing we want to talk about. I don't want to talk about my health with you, stranger. Sorry, friends, sure, but not strange people. And people just don't seem to get the hint. Now, I think the only time it ever felt like really honest was when it was like someone's grandmother, and they were genuinely concerned.
There's a woman who sits like 2 rows over from me, and last winter, I don't know if you remember, but I had that cough that lasted forever, and I sounded like death's door for like a month and a half, maybe 2 months. And woman, a couple rows over from me, she came over and she said, "Have you been to the doctor? I'm really worried about you." And I was like, "Oh God, I must be really bad if I got people 2 rows over from me coming over to ask me if I'm okay and I'm not dying."
Yeah, well, and normally I escape a lot of this stuff because I work from home, so it's something that I can normally avoid. But for whatever reason, this year it's been something that happens. I guess over the holidays you do tend to see a lot of different people, and when you do stuff like that, you tend to things tend to get around, unfortunately. But while we're talking about it, how were your holidays? Did you have a good Christmas?
My holidays were great. Was nice and quiet. Well, we went for a had prime rib dinner at my wife's aunt's house, and
Nice.
everything went according to plan.
Wow, that does not often happen.
It never happens.
Nice.
I mean, I was home Christmas Day by like 7 o'clock,
Wow.
and that I'm never home before like midnight. It was like boom, we were
When
home.
did I think I was home probably around 8, but that's because my niece goes to bed around 7, 7:30, and they kind of let her stay up a little bit later on Christmas Day just
Yeah,
because there was company around and some toys and all that kind of stuff. But they don't want to push it too late because then the next day is a real problem. So everybody was sort of clearing out around 7:30 as you're saying goodnight to Kaylee and she's going up to bed
yeah.
and kind of make an event out of it so she can wind down and like stop playing with toys and say goodbye and kind of like get that mentality of like, okay, everything is going to be here tomorrow. Actually,
Kind of
there's a
wish.
really cute story. You could see her like you could see her go for the stairs and then remember the other toy that she wanted to play with or the other thing that she wanted to do. She had this huge to-do list, right, in her head. And she would turn
Mm-hmm.
around and my sister would be just like, "Kaylee, it's there's nothing going on tomorrow. We're not going anywhere. Everything is going to be here tomorrow when you wake up." And you could see Kaylee kind of go like, "Oh yeah." Like
Uh huh.
she just kind of realized, "You're right. It will still all be here tomorrow." It's
The
pretty
funny
funny.
thing too, because you remember those things as a kid, but as an
Yeah.
adult, you go, "Wait, I got to go to work tomorrow."
Yeah.
Ugh.
I had to work over the holidays too. Obviously from home, a little bit easier, but yeah, I did not have as much downtime as I wanted to. Actually, I had planned on doing a lot of gaming. I wanted to play some Minecraft. I wanted to record some videos. I wanted to do some try to get ahead. Like try to bank some
Mm-hmm.
footage and stuff. And because I was sick, I couldn't do it. Like not
Mm-hmm.
only could I not talk, and record anything, but I could also like I couldn't sit at the computer for more than half a day. So I would work my half day, and then the other part of the day that I thought, I'll goof off and get some relaxing in. I couldn't do it. I either had to go lie down or it's silly. Like even though I'm just kind of like sitting in a different position on the couch in front of Netflix for whatever reason, just being at the computer, I it's hard on you. Like I've been doing my best to take even more frequent breaks than I normally do in the new year because I just find that the amount of stuff I'm trying to accomplish and the amount of sitting in front of the computer, it's hard on you, man. And I have a standing
Mm-hmm.
desk. Problem is that standing desk, the computer that's on it is old and slow, and I'm spoiled. And whenever I go to use it, it's like night and day.
Oh
So
yeah.
I don't even like typing on it, right? Like the keyboard is just different. So I'm used to a much better experience. So I have to figure out another way to get some standing time in because that used to be something I do. I used to stand and podcast, but this computer is now better at doing all of those things. And so rather than adding,
Don't even get me started on laptops, man. I'm
yeah,
down one right now.
oh, that sucks. That sucks. So I had some time over the holidays to watch some stuff and catch up on a few things. And I mentioned last week that I rewatched Infinity War on Netflix, which was cool. They've added a bunch of stuff that I've bookmarked and I haven't got to yet. Solo is now on Netflix in Canada, so I'm looking forward to watching that
I
when I'm in a
I
Star Wars
I
mood.
I I've seen that.
Yeah.
I watched it a couple days after it hit
Was
Netflix.
that the first time, or did you see it in theaters?
That was the first time I didn't see it in
Oh,
theaters.
no kidding. So, real quick then, what did you think?
I liked it. I liked it a lot more than people gave it credit for.
It's different. It
It's
was.
different. I didn't love it. I didn't think it was the greatest thing, but I was like, this isn't nearly as bad as people made it sound to be.
I don't remember. I don't remember disliking it. Like I'm pretty sure that I
I
liked
know
the
I
film.
know a lot of people who saw it and were like, "Yeah, wait for video. Yeah,
Yeah.
wait for video." And I was like, "Okay, that's not a big deal. That's not something I was Christmas time and I wasn't or summertime and I wasn't in a rush to get go see it anyway. So okay,
Yeah. Uh, I'm pretty sure that I did a podcast with Johnny with Pixel Riffs about Solo. One of the times he was on the Citadel Cafe last
I'm
year.
pretty sure you did.
Yeah. I know that I liked it better than episode 2. Or not episode 2.
Yes,
Episode 8.
yeah. I was not a huge fan of that movie, but
No, no.
that's a whole other debate. I don't. We should stay a mile
Stay
away.
away. But yeah, but Solo was it was different, but it was still Star Wars, and
Yes,
it got you in the right mood for that kind of stuff.
and
Um,
it was just funny enough, and it was just actiony enough. Everything was just enough. There wasn't too much, not too little.
yeah, I think
But
the
I
only
did see all
thing.
the plot twists a mile away.
Yeah, the other thing is that it's hard when you're so used to Harrison Ford and his screen presence. I can't remember or pronounce the actor's name that plays Solo in
Yeah.
Solo, and he's good. He's just different, and
Yes.
I know that I'm glad that he didn't channel a Harrison Ford. Like I'm glad he did his own thing.
But there's enough Harrison Ford in what he does that you can see it.
Yes, well, there's enough Han Solo, I think. And I think
Yes.
that's what he did. Is like he's like, look, I don't want to bring the Ford, but I want to bring the Solo, and I think that's where he brought it in. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that again. I've had this thing lately where I've tried to watch new things and they've been failing, and I've been like watching one episode and just deleting the whole thing from my list, going, nope, that's not good. I just dislike that.
We've had a lot of the same issue.
One thing though that I have been checking out, and we won't get into spoiler territory, and I will tease that when I am through, it's very likely that both Megan and I will dive into Titans, which is the Teen Titans Netflix show, live action show. So I've been watching that, and I know you have too. So
Yes.
we'll stay spoiler free. I want to say I can talk about episodes up to 3 to 4, mainly because if you're going to test this show out, I would suggest you give it at least 4 episodes.
Yes. Especially episode 4 because it introduces you to interesting characters that are getting their own show.
Yeah, which I didn't know until you told me just before we started recording tonight, and I'm happy about that because that is where I went, huh, interesting. This is not
Yeah.
because when you think Teen Titans and you think, well, I mean, sometimes you think Teen Titans Go, which is really cartoony, but when you think Teen Titans, I remember the cartoon, and it's goofy, but it's still action and it's still, superheroes doing their thing. And what I found so interesting about that switch around episode 3, 4, where they introduce these new characters, they introduce a lot of color, they introduce
Yes.
a lot of humor, but it's not humor in a like a bump bump, look at the camera sort of way. Like it's humor in banter. They're not
Yes.
making jokes so much as they're just capturing little character moments that happen to be funny. Sometimes funny in a sad way, sometimes funny in a what the hell just happened way.
Or
Uh,
funny in a dark way.
yeah, yeah. So it's got some breadth to it, and one of the best things about Titans, excuse me, with an S, is they don't over explain anything.
In fact, they kind of under explain a few things where I had to actually explain. I watched it with my wife, and she was like, "Wait, who's that, and why do I care?" And I was like, "Oh, hold on, I have to
Yes.
explain."
Yeah.
And she grew
So
up watching Teen Titans, so she knew all the characters, but she's like, "Wait, I'm confused. Who's that?" And I'm like, "Okay, hold on. Here we
yeah.
go. I'm gonna explain it to you now."
Yeah, and I think, and I don't, I'm barely familiar with Teen Titans via pop culture. I've seen the cartoon, but I wasn't a big fan. Like I didn't, I was too old for it. So
Yeah,
I see the characters, I know the iconography and stuff, but I don't, I'm not super familiar with them, and so I don't come in loaded with preconceptions. I know who
right,
Robin is, and I know from the trailer that he's obviously estranged from Batman or has moved on, and
right.
that's it. That's all I know. So I was really happy that it wasn't at first as predictable as like the Flash and Arrow, or like for example Arrow. Like they don't explain the plot of every episode
No,
every 10 minutes. Like thankfully it is Netflix and they can actually have one a season long arc so that some of the episodes are not just cookie cutter like in and out in the same 45 minutes. There's a lot of times where it's kind of a I really want to see what happens next. Like there's several times in the first half dozen episodes I was like, I can watch one more because I kind of
the
want to see where it's
one thing
going.
that should be noted though is as much as it's not like Arrow, it is a Berlanti production.
Is it really?
Yes.
Huh. I didn't deep dive into it because of course I like it enough that I don't want to spoil the ending, so I'm not looking into all the details outside of just the cast right now. And I have to say that it is well produced in terms of just like cinematography and action and stuff. It's
The the
sorry, go
one
ahead.
thing I will the one thing I will say is you can definitely tell it doesn't have the budget that some other shows have, and that you can see where they're trying to maximize and minimize what they spend on budgets. Especially later on, there's a couple of episodes where you can tell that they pretty much kept everything to the same 4 or 5 rooms because you knew that they didn't want to have to keep shooting in different sets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just different.
and
And you can be
I'd rather good practical than bad CG. You know, like
right.
there's been some moments. It almost feels like a horror show in many ways. There's a lot of
There
places where it gets dark.
one of their characters is very horror related.
Yeah, you're talking about
Raven.
Raven. Yeah, yeah.
Is she Rachel? Her character is very dark. She has a very dark past,
Yeah.
and like they're going right into what they do in the comic book more than the TV show.
Which is fine, you know, like because I
Yeah.
think, and even referencing going back to talking about Megan coming on the show and talking about this, she's more of a fan of the comics, so her big concern is that as a big fan, she's worried that they're going to step all over expectations and for people that I don't know what to tell you if you're a diehard Teen Titans fan. What I can say is that if you like action superhero shows, it's well acted for the most part. There are some tropes, but there's some tropes in most superhero shows that you really can't avoid. Um,
Even if you don't seem to like the show, my recommendation is to watch episode 4 because episode 4 is probably my favorite episode of the whole season. You get introduced to a bunch of various new characters. If you're not familiar with them, they go by the Doom Patrol in comic books, and they're basically a bunch of not necessarily superheroes. They're people with powers that are kind of unusual or weird, and don't really fit in with everybody else, and so they kind of all stick together. And they had so much fun filming that they were greenlit to make them their own show coming in February, I think.
cool.
February or March.
Yeah. Hot on the heels, sounds like.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
I really like the guy that plays Dick Grayson, Robin, Brenton Thwaites.
He
Uh,
is the highlight of the show.
he is good. He has a really nice balance. He's not broody McQueen, like like
No.
he's not Arrow, but he's not jokey McFlash either, and which
Right.
is good because you kind of like, oh god, because a lot of times in cartoons Robin is like always wisecracking, and he's not that either. He's got some troubles, but he's also trying to work through them. He fits the part. Like he's not a big buff guy. He's muscly, but he's muscly in a gymnast kind of way, not in a brute kind of way. And I just really enjoy what he brings to the table. He's and
Well,
mostly because it's mostly when he's Dick Grayson, like when he's not got
right.
the suit on and doing the fighting and stuff.
The
And
other thing too is when I started watching, I kept going, "Wait, why do I know this kid? I've seen him in something before."
oh yeah,
And then I looked it up, and he was in that last Pirates of the Caribbean movie. He
oh
was the
okay,
hero of the film.
oh he plays someone related to Orlando Bloom's character.
Yes, he's Orlando Bloom's character's son
That makes
in the
sense.
movie.
He does, and I've seen images of him online with like the little mustache and the little goatee, like
Yeah,
the little soul patch. Yeah, okay, that makes more sense now.
yeah.
That makes more sense. Uh, he apparently he was in Maleficent as well. I haven't seen. Well, I've seen part of Maleficent. It was terrible, but I haven't seen the other Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, I've seen parts of it as well. I didn't kind
No,
of pay attention.
no. I like the way that they write. Uh, I'm saying Robin. I'm blanking on his name all of a sudden.
Brandon
No, not the actor, the character.
Dick Grayson.
Dick Grayson. Wow, that's terrible. I just said it like not 10 minutes ago. This is what happens when you work too hard, people. Uh, Dick Grayson, the detective and like the character in the show, has to take on like the caregiver, the protector role. He kind of
Right.
jumps up and becomes the leader, and he doesn't like do it in a way that's forceful. He just does it in a way that's knowledgeable. He's just like, look, we're a bunch of people that all have a common enemy that makes us allies. So let's just join forces here and see if we can just stay alive. And so people follow his lead because they're like, well, he seems to know what he's talking about. Because they portray, well, Rachel is very young, and then they portray Beast Boy as also very young.
Yeah.
And then is it Star Sapphire is her name or
Starfire.
Starfire? So Starfire is also, she's older, and so she's more of the weapon. Like
Right.
she's more the big gun that they kind of aim, and she has a little bit less to do interpersonally with the crew. She wins
Right.
Rachel's respect, but other than that, so like again, I don't want to deep dive on it. I just want to say that it's good. I am halfway through the season, and I am starting to have some trouble. I don't know. I'm not going to bail. I'm hoping to push through, but I'm kind of disappointed that there have been some of these filler episodes when there's only 10 or 11 episodes. Like, come on, guys. Like, just keep it going forward.
I think, in all honesty, one of the issues with the show itself is they're trying to introduce other characters besides our main four.
Mm-hmm.
And when they introduce them, you're trying to wonder, you're left trying to figure out if they're going to be somebody that's joining the cast, or is this a backdoor pilot for another show that they're looking to do?
Yeah, it does feel like that. It feels a little bit forced. And I have to say, I like what they're doing for the most part with the Titans, but the way that they sell the show with all the trailers being really dark,
bad.
It's bad if that's not what you want. But if that's what you want, and then you get to the show, that's not what they've made. It's not dark all the time. I mean, these extra characters they bring in, if you are expecting, Batman v Superman, then Titans with these extra characters is hella dumb. Like they are colorful, silly, weird, and not what I was expecting from the Batman, kind of mood of the trailer.
It is so not what that trailer makes it out to be.
Right.
Yeah. Like the first time you watch that trailer, you're like, ugh, great. They didn't learn from Batman vs. And then you watch the show and you're like, wait, that was a joke.
Yeah.
Wait, he's not just running around as Robin. Wait, he did beat that guy up, but it's pretty clear he did not kill him like it was in that trailer.
Yeah. Although I have to say, there's a fine line. I don't. Later in the season, they make efforts to let you know that the people that are getting beat up, I mean, these people are getting hurt. Like, missing eyeballs hurt. And yet there's an effort to make sure that the bodies are writhing around on the ground at the last shot. So, like, they're not dead, but...
Though it doesn't pull its punches. I don't know if you've gotten to it yet. There's a couple episodes where people get killed, and they go, yeah, we kind of couldn't help but do that. Or the killing is well beyond the point of, oh, yeah, that kind of just happened. Oh, shit.
Yeah, I feel like the thing that the parts that I don't like about it so far are not necessarily faults of the show. They are personal tastes of mine.
Yes.
I find I don't like anti-heroes, and that's what this seems to be kind of in the direction as. It reminds me of Deadpool. And I don't dislike Deadpool. It's just not my favorite. I'm a clean-cut, Captain America, Superman kind of guy.
Yep, I know exactly what you like.
Yeah, so so the kind of the darkness and some of the don't give a shit moments are kind of bug me because it makes me hard. I don't want to. I'm not rooting for all the Titans because of the way that some of the choices that they make. But then the other thing that I do enjoy to a point is the action and the fighting, while very violent, feels
really good.
It's really good, and it feels more real. Like there's less of a, like when Robin is in a fight and he's winning, he's still kind of hobbling from fighting six guys, right? Like he's been punched a couple times, he's been cut, like he's not in good shape. And also the people that are getting hurt, it's not a fist fight that goes on for 5 minutes. It's block, break a leg, that guy's done. It reminds me of the Arkham video games where you're
Yes.
trying to incapacitate these people as fast as possible, and
Right.
it's good in that way. The thing that sends it over the top to me is actually not the visuals; it's the sound. It's
Hmm.
I can handle when you punch someone in the face and there's a big splurt of blood. Granted, they go over the top, but like because like it's rough. If Robin punches you in the nose, you have no
You
nose left.
you,
But
you broke it.
but the squish glitch noise that they play when that happens is, I mean, you might not hear it if you're not wearing headphones, which is how I watch the show. But man, like sometimes you're just like, okay, mental note, don't eat dinner while watching Titans. Wait till after. Okay, good to know. Like it's gross. There's some times where you're just like, oh, really? I don't know. I don't know if I need to see all this. So I think, like you said, with the dark kind of background for Rachel, they're really zeroing it on the supernatural and the horror side of that, and
Yep.
they're pulling that out in the violence. What I think that the violence does for the show is create a real peril.
Right.
So you don't, I mean, you know that your main four characters are not going to die, but you don't want them to get hurt. Like you
Right.
don't want them to have, a broken leg or a really nasty cut or something, because like there's you know that they can get really injured, and because of the way it's portrayed, you feel it. Like it's not this DC television we're all used to, where people get punched and they kind of flip their hair around, and then they
Hmm.
have they have a they have a powdered black eye in the next scene, right? Like no, this is rough.
Right.
And so it does create that sense of peril for the characters, and like I said, the quality of the production is above what you get in normal TV. Camera angle, cinematography, you get up close, sometimes too close to characters, and that makes you feel uncomfortable, as it should. And
Right.
so there's a lot of stuff like that that I think has got it going for it. But we're gonna get into a full spoiler episode about it with Megan. We might even try to get like an extra episode out of it, like a barista cut, because I know she's gonna have opinions, and I'm curious as to whether it's going to be a rant, whether it's going to be, you know,
It could
bonds
be
back.
good. It could be bad.
Yeah, but because she's such a fan, that I feel like that's where we're gonna need to get into some deeper territory with it. But I would recommend people check it out. It may not be your thing, but give it a chance, because I am always complaining about stuff that's just the same, and this is different.
Yes.
I don't know whether it's good or bad different yet, but it's absolutely getting points for me for being very, very different. So speaking
It,
of different, did you catch anything over the holidays? Did you
I saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which
nice.
I know you have not seen yet.
No, I haven't seen it yet. I'm probably not going to get to see it in theaters.
Okay.
I know it's good. I hear lots of my friends raving
I've
about it.
seen
I
it
just don't know if
twice.
that's what I want to go spend my time seeing right now.
I understand. I've seen it twice though.
So obviously worth going to see.
Yeah. Well, okay. So New Year's Eve night, Erica and I didn't really have plans, and we were sitting around. And I've been wanting to see it for a while. And the week before, I was supposed to go with some friends, and we got to the theater. And 4 weeks after the movie came out, it was still sold out,
Wow.
and we couldn't get tickets in the middle of a Saturday afternoon show. And we ended up going to see something else instead. And New Year's Eve rolled around, and Erica and I were just sitting around watching TV, and we're having dinner. And I said, "There's a 9:50 showing of, or 9:30 showing of Spider Verse at the theater around the corner. Do you want to go?" And she's like, "We're there." And I was like, "Okay." And so we went to the movie theater. We were the only people in the theater, which never happens.
That's a
It was
fun date.
the theater was empty, and she sits there. I've been to theaters like that before, like in the middle of a blizzard, and there's nobody there.
Right.
And she looks over at me. She goes, "I've never had this happen before." And I'm like, "Are you kidding? I used to do this all the time as a teenager."
Nice.
I'm like, "We can be as loud as we want to be."
Put your feet up on the chair next to you, and yeah, you can do all kinds
Yep.
of stuff. Yep.
Yeah. And I will say right off the bat, I was worried I wasn't going to like it. Um, Immediately, there was something weird about the animation, and it bothered me.
Really?
And it hurt my eyes.
Oh wow.
I was like, "Am I supposed to be seeing a 3D movie? Because this feels like it's 3D, but it's not. What's going on?" And then about maybe 3 minutes into the movie, I will say your eyes adjust to what's going on, and you see the movie as what it is, and you go, "Oh, okay, I get what's going on. And it's set at a weird frame rate.
Well, yeah, because
Uh,
what they're doing is they're animating. CG animation is typically done on 30 frames a second, and because the computer can smooth everything out, you don't have to draw all the different poses and stuff in between. But what the Spider Verse has done is, in some cases, they're putting stuff on twos or threes to kind of like emphasize the poppy action and stuff.
what it ends up doing for you once your eyes adjust to it, which takes probably the first 5 minutes of the movie, certain sequences feel like they pause like a comic book panel.
Oh, nice.
And so
Fair.
it's moving, but for a second you see a comic book panel in your eyes. And you're
Nice.
like, "Oh, okay. I get what they're doing here." The
Mm-hmm.
other thing that they should definitely tell you before you see the movie is if you have a if you're epileptic, don't see this movie.
Oh, really? Is it?
Because I'm
Is
gonna
it?
tell you, the first 10 minutes, there's so many bright light, flashing lights, and tweaky sounds and weird stuff that happens on screen in the first 10-15 minutes that I was like, oh, I'm glad I'm not epileptic because I would have just had a seizure right now. Forget that Pokemon episode that caused seizures. This is worse,
Wow.
and
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
surprised. I'm surprised more people haven't complained about it. Uh, but
I've heard
outside of
nothing but praise. People
okay,
just all I hear. I mean, I don't hear details because obviously people want other folks to go and see it, but they're just like face melting. That was amazing, blah. And they're all like artists I follow in the animation industry or video game industry, and I mean, they're generally fans of this kind of stuff to begin with. But like they were really impressed. And what I think one of the things that they were impressed by, again, it's different, and they want Sony to make more different stuff. So they're like, look, put your money into movies like this and encourage Hollywood to make stuff like this, not, Secret Life of Pets 2. They don't
and
say that. I'm using that as an example of like a cookie
yes,
cutter, film that Hollywood just kind of pumps out sequels like every 3 years, right?
right. And this is totally an origins movie, and I'm not joking when I say this. They give you the origin 7 times,
Okay.
and when they do it, every single time it's different. They make jokes about previous Spider-Man movies. uh, like the Spider-Man movie, I think it's Spider-Man 3 where he walks down the street like snapping his fingers and
Oh,
pointing
yeah,
at
yeah,
people.
the Sam Raimi nonsense.
they
Yeah, yeah.
they literally make a joke about that where they show one of the Spider-Man walking down the street, and the character literally cuts the camera and goes, "We don't talk about this. Remember, we don't talk about this." And you're like, okay, they're acknowledging that some of this stuff is garbage. Okay, this is awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So they break the fourth wall like Deadpool, do they?
They do, but they do it in a way in which they don't knowingly do it. They do it in a way that like they're explaining to you what's going on as a viewer, but it, it's it's not Deadpool looking at the camera and going, "Hey guys, watch this." It's
Right.
more done as in a narrative tone, and it's done right up to the point where you go, "Oh, they're going to do the Deadpool thing," and then they pull it away just enough that you go, "Okay, that was just for me as a viewer, so that I understand what's going on." And
Right.
even then, they don't fully explain everything. Like they don't tell you about Uncle Ben. They just show a photo of Uncle Ben and they go, "Yeah, you know that already." And they literally say that.
Right.
We're not gonna tell you. You know all that already.
Right. That makes
Eh,
sense. I mean,
eh,
that's I like that. I like it when they can at least, because I mean, the Spider-Man story has been done so much, probably
Oh
more
yeah,
than any other Superman at this or superhero at this point.
between him
Because
and Batman.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, that's cool. How are all the different Spider people? Like, I
Okay,
hear that Spider Gwen really steals the show.
she is awesome. She is the highlight of the movie. Her, and then there's two Peter Parkers in the movie. One Peter Parker is amazing, and the other Peter Parker is a fat schlub. The fat schlub is like one of the highlights of the movie.
Nice.
And you can't help but like him even when he's kind of a jerk, and you're like, wow, this definitely feels like an old Peter Parker. Okay, I'm in. But I know your concern was the spider pig
The Spider
and
Ham, yeah.
yeah. Okay, I will tell you right now something that no one tells you ever because they try not to spoil the movie, and I don't think this is a spoiler. The Japanese spider robot Spider-Man thing, uh, uh, Noir Spider-Man, and Spider Pig are like not in half the movie.
Right. I heard that someone had mentioned that Spider Ham was not really in it that much.
He's in it, and they use him as for comic jokes, or
Yeah.
like something gets really out of hand and he acts like a cartoon character and solves the problem for them, and they're like, that was weird, why did that just happen?
Hmm.
Physics doesn't work like that. He goes, it does where I come from.
Right.
And it's okay in the storytelling wise, but it happens so little and he's in it so little, you forget he's there
Right. So they
until he
don't
makes
milk it too much. Yeah.
no. He's on camera just enough that you go, okay, that was funny, or I appreciate his acting, or I appreciate the character, but now we moved on. And they do that with all of the other Spider-Man as well.
Right.
The real focus of the whole movie is Miles Morales.
Nice.
They're
Well, yeah.
they're totally setting him up for his own movie.
Nice. Okay. Cool. No, I do want to see it. It's just that I've been looking at what's in theaters right now, and I've been torn actually. Had I not been sick, I was trying to meet up with my friend Scott over the holidays. We normally try to go see a film at some point when he's on vacation, when he doesn't have family stuff going on. But like his kids were sick, and then I was sick, and just it all kind of went to hell in
Yeah.
a handbasket. But he was like, "Do you want to go see?" Uh, I was going to go see Aquaman, and then I heard that wasn't super good. And then I
It's
heard, the reverse, that it was actually pretty good. But then he was like, "Well, what about Bumblebee?" Because at the time I had only just heard the initial reviews from Aquaman, and people were going thumbs down. But then Bumblebee, and people were saying like, "No, I really enjoyed it." And I was like, "Well, it's not going to surprise me. Like I know what to expect from Bumblebee." Uh, but at the same time, I was like, "Well, it would be kind of a turn your brain off, kind of a fun robot movie. Like I'm okay. I'm okay going with
um
that."
so remember I said earlier that I had to go see another movie because I couldn't see Spider-Verse?
You went to go see Bumblebee?
I went to go see Bumblebee.
Nice. So what? Okay,
And
so like out of 10, where are we sitting?
on Spider-Man,
No, Bumblebee.
on Bumblebee, I give it about a 6 or a 7.
Okay, so because I
Like
would put
I
some of
like
the I
well,
would put some of the other Transformers movies in the solid 4.
I would put some of those other Transformers movies at a solid 2.
Yeah, there's one. The second one is definitely a 2.
Did you ever see the first one with Marky Mark?
I have seen them all,
Okay, because
unfortunately.
I put that one down as a 2 because 4 hours is too long for a Transformers movie.
That was really long. There's a couple of them are really long. There's another one with the Dinobots that was freaking forever as well.
Yeah, and
I liked 3. I remember enjoying the ride in
three is
3
not bad.
because
I
that's the
have
one in
not.
Chicago, right? Where they have to like
Yes,
Megatron and Optimus Prime actually have a knockout fight in that city, and that was actually pretty cool.
my biggest gripe with the movie is I feel like it plays it too safe.
Right. I can maybe
Um,
understand their choices to do that.
I understand their choices to do it. It is definitely the best of all of the Transformers movies.
Oh, cool.
It takes place in 1987. So there is no modern technology. Everything is super 80s. Um, everything feels very it's very woman empowering. She is a badass character who finds the car. Um,
I like her in the trailers. Haley Steinfeld, I think is her name.
yes, who was in the Coen Brothers movie with um uh,
True
the
Grit.
cowboy. She was in True Grit.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I think I see that. I think I saw that.
she's fabulous in both movies, but she's fabulous in this movie. She's also Spider Gwen in Into the Spider Verse.
Oh, okay. That's why her name felt familiar. She's also in Ender's Game.
Yes,
Who does he play in Ender's Game? His older sister?
she's the other girl he meets at the station that works with him. I think.
Oh, is she like his not love interest in that
But
movie, but love
but
interest in the series, like in the overall?
yeah,
Okay, cool. Yeah, heard. I really liked her attitude that they showed in the trailer. Like she was the reason why I thought this might actually be really interesting.
and it's good, and it's definitely it's Bumblebee is the highlight of the movie, but the biggest thing that I noticed with this film is um Michael Bay is still a producer, but they have downgraded him to like an assistant producer on this thing. It almost feels like his name is on it because it has to be, and they
Right.
don't want it there. But one of the first names that pops up when the credits start rolling is they highlight Steven Spielberg produced. And they like he gets like his own little pop-up that it's like he produced it. And you can tell he had something to do with it because of some of the choices they make. And
Right.
some of the scenes feel almost like they stole it right out of ET. And I
Right.
think they're both some of the cooler moments, and they're also some of the moments where you go, "Oh, but really?" But
Little safe. Yeah.
like it was like they pull it too safe, and it's okay. I really enjoyed it. I'll probably definitely watch it again when it comes to Netflix because I guarantee in a year it'll be on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I don't know if I'd go back and watch it as like a third or fourth time. It
Right.
was good, and I like the characters. And the other thing it does is it doesn't tell you it's a reboot, and it feels like they played it safe so that they can go, oh yeah, this is a reboot if it did well. But if it didn't do well, they can be like, well, it's just an additional chapter. But it feels like a reboot.
Right. Very, very cool. I like the way it looks. I mean, obviously everybody nerded out about the G1, Autobots and Decepticon designs, from like some of the flashbacks and stuff in the trailers. And I'm don't
The
tell me because I'm definitely more interested in it now that you've said a little bit more about it. But the review from a friend of mine online, I think it was Patrick Beja that said it, and I'm not gonna quote the whole tweet, but he said something along the lines of like, "I watched it, I liked it. It's certainly one of the best Transformers movie, but I don't know why everybody is just over the moon about it because
that's kind of how I felt about it.
he's like the story was I'm pretty sure he said safe and predictable, so same thing that you're saying. He really didn't like John Cena in it. He thought the acting from Cena was terrible, which is too
Cena
bad
was
because as I like him as a person, like he's a cool guy, but it's too bad that he's
it's not that his acting is bad, it's that they wrote him like an ET villain.
okay. So Agent Burns is a cookie cutter agent,
He's
a government
he
agent from the
there's
80s.
all kinds of things going on, and everything is highlighting that Bumblebee is obviously one of the good guys. He's like, but I don't know. And you're
Well,
like,
yeah. Open your eyes, dipshit. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Like it literally rescues him from like getting killed, and he's like, I don't know. And you're like,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so maybe a little bit hamstrung by
yes.
the character. Do we know if this went through like a lot of reshoots or retooling or anything, or is it
No.
just
As
no?
far as I know, it did not.
It did not. Okay, so but I mean, I'm okay with a safer Transformers '80s action movie. I kind of wish that the other ones were. I'm glad that there's not a lot of Michael Bay influence because my fear was that we would get. Well, I shouldn't say that. I was really hoping that they wouldn't over sexualize the main character, the girl.
They
Um,
totally don't.
good.
Ever.
Um,
If anything, I felt like they could have actually have done that more.
right.
And
But
they
that
didn't. And I
I'm
was
glad
like,
that they didn't.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that they didn't. Well, one, she's a much younger female character than any of the girls in the other films. But in the other films, like it makes you feel dirty. Like it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, Michael Bay, I don't want to watch your fantasy. Like, can we move on, please?
Yeah.
And I find that stuff really, really takes me out of it, and kind of, um, it's embarrassing. I find it embarrassing
Yes.
in the Michael Bay films. So good. I'm glad that she's a strong female character because I think that, and I'm glad that it's not a little boy. Like I'm glad that it's a young kind of teenage. Like she's playing a
She
13 or 14-year-old girl, right?
no, she's like 17 or 18. Like she's like getting ready for college almost kind of
Oh, wait a
thing.
minute. Right, driver's license. So she's got to
Yes.
be. It's like her 16th birthday. She gets the car or something like that in the trailer. I can't remember.
She actually already kind of has a car type vehicle she rides around in.
Oh,
When the
okay.
movie begins, the car is kind of an afterthought thing because she's tired of borrowing the family car.
Oh, okay, cool. Right on. Yeah,
So
well, I'm
and they portray her as they don't say, they don't really give you a specific age, but I would say her character's 17.
okay. Cool.
And she does have a male sidekick that joins her eventually in the movie, and he's just what you would picture from a goofy 80s male guy who's trying to win over the chick, but he's a dork.
Right. Okay.
And
Yeah.
you're like, okay, they fit together.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
this
think
works.
I think I've seen him in the trailer too. Yeah. I think. Right on. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I'm probably even more interested to see Bumblebee out of now curiosity than I am to see Spider Verse. Even though I'm sure from reviews, I'd say Spider Verse is probably a better film. But it's like in terms of me going to the theater, I feel like I would probably go see Bumblebee before I go see Spider Verse. Hmm.
The last I'll say about Bumblebee, though, is it's worth watching for about the first 10 minutes, because the entire first 10 minutes takes place on Cybertron.
Oh, neat. Okay.
And
Yeah.
and you go, the whole scene, the whole time it's there, you're like, whoa, look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's over. Wait, I want to go back to that.
Yeah, and everybody leaves the theater like, why didn't you do this for the last 4 movies?
Yes.
Because you know that it's probably less expensive to do an entirely CG Cybertron movie than it is to do live action and CG combined. Like the compositing and oh my god,
it's
like
gonna be a nightmare.
Oh my, just I'm fine. I don't need humans in my Transformers film. I can just watch Cybertron. Give me a prequel. I'm in. Speaking of not prequels but sequels, terrible transition. I need some more work on that. Spider-Man: Far From Home. The trailer dropped 2 days ago. Yesterday, I can't remember.
Yesterday.
Man, I am in on this movie. I
am in. I am excited, but I have figured out the whole plot already.
All right. Well, don't tell me because I don't know anything about Mysterio. So,
okay.
Other than the fact that I don't like the casting, Jake Gyllenhaal is
yes,
not
Mysterio.
Yeah, they should have picked somebody a lot older. I think for Mysterio, and I'm not
He's
even
older than you think he is.
And it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. It's the wrong look. Like it's the dashing hero is not who's under the Mysterio mask.
I honestly couldn't tell you what Mysterio looks like because in almost all the comics I remember reading of him, he has that fishbowl thing on his head and you never see his face.
Which is also really dumb. It's fine. But
he has it in this movie.
I know he does. Yeah, I know he does. And it's like, all right, well, that's something for the fans. But really, I don't. It looks like a Sandman villain is in it, and that to me.
No, not.
Oh, it's not
what's
okay.
going on.
It's
not what's going on.
All right, well, fine. Well, don't tell me. But what I liked about it is from the very, very beginning, there's some fantastic humor and real subtle. Definitely the kind of Peter Parker we're used to from is it Hart? What's his name? Tom Holland?
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland, who I really, really like in this role. And there's this hilarious moment where he comes off of a neighborhood Spider-Man promo stage show, and Aunt May, who I recall now knows that he's Spider-Man. I forgot that she discovered him at the end of Homecoming, and so he's talking about it with her, and then Happy comes in from Tony Stark's Happy. Yeah. And he starts giving Aunt May compliments is that a new dress? It's the new dress. And he's fumbling and he's obviously got a thing for May and they're both kind of flirting and Peter is standing there what just happened?
Okay, all right.
Priceless.
So I've seen 2 trailers.
Okay.
So that's the American trailer.
Oh, okay. So
there is an international trailer that doesn't show that scene at all.
Okay.
And in that trailer, it cuts to him at customs, and he opens his briefcase for the customs lady in England. And the opening scene in that trailer is she looks at his Spider-Man costume, closes the briefcase, and goes, "You can't have that here." And he goes, "What?" She goes, "You got a bottle of water in
there." Nice.
And he goes, "Oh, yeah, here, you can have that." And then you can see the look on his face oh my God, she didn't see the costume? Really?
I and I thought that he left it at home. Like I thought that was
Oh
the whole
no,
premise.
May put the joke is that May put it in his suitcase with a note that says, "Hey, I thought you might want this."
Oh, okay, right on. Uh, so with it, within a few minutes of the trailer, Nick Fury's in it, and obviously Peter's on his way to Europe to go on a school trip, and he just wants to do his own thing and not be Spider-Man for a little bit. But ultimately, bad guys happen, so Spider-Man has to do his thing. And it's a teaser trailer, so there's not a whole lot to it. But I like the suit. I like the action. It's the comedy is all there. There looks like there's some serious moments for Peter Parker.
He's
And
also going to have multiple suits throughout the movie, in case you hadn't noticed.
yeah, I caught a little bit about that. There was a black one too that I thought, okay, that's
Well,
pretty cool.
from what I gathered, there's like 4 suits in the movie because they show him in the original one from the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Then they show him in the winged one that in the comics he wore like in the 80s, so
Yep.
he could like, fly through the air.
Yeah.
And then they show him in the black one, and then there's another one that looks like he might be in the metal suit again,
Oh, right. Like
the Iron
the
Spider
Iron
one.
Spider one from Infinity War, right?
Yeah,
Cool. I liked the twist that they made on the suits in Homecoming. Like I enjoyed the fact
yeah.
that he had was it Veronica? No, what was his? I can't remember. I can't
I
remember
can't
the.
remember her name,
Yeah, but
but
it's a woman that he talks to in the suit, which I think is pretty
but you
funny.
do know that is what's her name that plays that it's Vision in real life. That's his wife on the other line of that suit.
Is it really?
It's his real wife in real life.
Oh, that's gonna
Uh,
bug me now.
so when they cast it, they cast his wife as the voice, so that she's the Spider-Man's suit voice, and he was Tony Stark's original suit voice.
And there's another woman that's now because Veronica I think
Is Tony Stark's, I think, in his new
doesn't
suit.
but doesn't Veronica go away and then there's now a Scottish voice
I
that
think
does it,
so.
and
I think so.
I don't remember her name. I'm getting confused. There's so many different things now. I'm trying to think about. I clicked on the
the
wrong
the
Infinity
thing
War.
about this movie, this trailer that excited me the most is they still don't tell us what's happening at the end of it, Endgame.
Yeah, no, that I mean,
You
outside of
you
the
know
fact that that
you
Peter
know
Parker's alive, but that's
you know
fine.
Peter Parker's alive. You know that you know that Nick Fury is alive, and you know that Happy's alive. But other than that, you have no idea who's alive, what happened in the last movie, or what's going on.
Yeah, no, it keeps that tone. Like it has it's a Sony film with like Marvel associated with it because it's still not 100% under Marvel's umbrella yet, but it feels like a Marvel trailer, right? Like it
Yeah,
doesn't feel like a separate thing, which I think
yeah.
is great. What's the guy that plays Vision? What's his name?
Uh, I can't think of his name. Hold on,
Yeah, I'm looking right now, and is it Paul Bettany?
Paul Bettany,
Yeah,
which
okay,
I just saw in Solo. I should know that he's in.
right, right. That's right. Um, man, he gets around. Star Wars, Avengers,
Hey,
crazy.
when Disney money calls, you go.
Yeah,
They
I'm
give you
trying to.
jobs for life.
Why can't I find him on IMDb? I'm frantically trying to figure out who his wife is because I'm curious now, and I can't sort it out. I probably should have just looked up Homecoming as opposed to trying to find the
I just
Seven
typed
Degrees of
Paul and he came up on
Paul Bettany.
as the first choice.
Yeah, I hate the search functions on IMDb. He's not my
He's
first choice.
married to Jennifer Connelly.
Oh, it's Jennifer Connelly. Okay,
Yeah,
interesting. Because
and
she's a weird cat, man.
and she is the voice of the suit in Spider-Man: Homecoming. Yeah,
Oh, cool. It's funny. It's usually you would think that I would recognize her voice because she's got a very unique, kind of distinct way of speaking.
they
It's
make her robotic so much that you kind of don't
right.
recognize her voice unless you know it's her.
What is she in? She's playing not a villain, but she's in one of the new
She is
movies.
in she
Not
is in that
Snowpiercer.
Battle Angel Alita,
That's what it is. That's what it is. She's in the Battle Angel Alita thing.
which I'm
Uh,
still not sure how I feel about it.
I don't know. I haven't seen any more trailers. I just seen
It's
the first
either
one.
going to be really good or it's going to be really bad. And everything I hear about it is that a lot of people are walking out of the theater going, you know what? I really liked that. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll have to see it for myself.
Interesting. Karen is the name of the suit in Spider-Man: Homecoming. I want to watch Homecoming now. I wonder if that's on Netflix in Canada. I want it to be.
It was on Netflix here for a while, but they just pulled it like in the last 6 months, I think.
Yeah, everybody's getting ready to launch their own network, and everything's getting pulled
I
away.
think that's going to be a big, huge failure for a lot of people.
I don't know. Netflix is up in their prices, and I think there's going to be some that fail, but I think there's going to be some select few that stick, and that's going to be the new normal.
I honestly don't think Disney's going to do as well as people think it's going to do.
Oh, I don't know if Disney's going to do well. I just think Disney's going to take their ball and go home. That's essentially what I think is going to happen. Yeah, because I remember the time of the Disney Vault, the arbitrary. We're not selling this thing for another 5 years, and when it comes out in 5 years again on the 10th anniversary, you're gonna all buy it in droves because by that point, VHS will have turned into DVD or whatever. And oh God, I do not miss those days.
Nope, me either.
Anyway, that is going to be it for this episode of the Citadel Cafe. If you've enjoyed the show, then you can head on over to Patreon and help us make more. If you're getting a little bit of value out of it, you can always put a little bit of value back in. Go to patreon.com/the Citadel Cafe, where you can pledge at any level and get an invite to the patron-only Discord. That's where we all hang out and talk about nerdy stuff all week long. There is now multiple levels of support on Patreon, so depending on your level of support, you have different roles and different, I guess, access in the Discord. So it's a lot of fun over there. I just checked, and we are one patron up from last week. So thank you very much for the new patronage. Happy to have new folks on board. I happen to know for a fact that it was Mr. Cosmic. I probably should call him Dark Poet, but I think Mr. Cosmic is going to stick. So welcome aboard. Very, very happy to have you. And hopefully we can get some more people in there because it's fun to see the podcast and the community grow. That's going to be it. You can find everything that I am doing on joelduggan.com. That is where you can find my illustration and design portfolio. I am currently available for hire, so if you'd like to do some graphic design work with me, then get in touch. Don't forget to tune into my other podcasts, Comics Coast to Coast, where we interview comic creators, illustrators, and animators, and the Spawn Chunks, where we talk about Minecraft with my friend Johnny. And the new snapshot for Minecraft came out this week. They're back in the swing of things in the new year, and they added a compost block. Really interesting stuff this week. So check that out coming up on Monday. You can follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube with just my name. Lou, where can people find you and all the cool stuff that you were doing online?
The easiest place to find me is on my show, Zombies Ate My Podcast, where this week we are going to be talking about the Resident Evil 2 remake demo, where Capcom put out a demo that only lets you play it for 30 minutes and then says, you want to play more? Buy the game.
Nice.
And it is one of the most brilliant pieces of marketing they've ever done. And you can also find me anywhere on social media under the name Busy Zombie Lord.
You've been listening to the Citadel Cafe, where we are fast, easy, and cheap, but you can only pick two.